All right, looks like we are almost ready to take our test. But if you had a few questions on the test review itself, we'll go over those. The first one, we want to use the following statements for P and Q. So P represents it is sunny, and Q, every time we see a Q, it's going to represent I will serve. We want to write the statements using the symbols and the sentences. So the first statement we want to write is the conditional of P then Q. Remember, a conditional is an if-then statement. And the way we represent that symbolically is P arrow Q, where this is read if P, then Q. For the sentence, we have to fill that part in. If, and then whatever my P is, it is sunny, then whatever my Q is, which is I will serve. So it's very important that you have this arrow here that shows that it is definitely a conditional, an if-then statement. All right, number 7, that's the next one. If an animal is a mammal, then it has hair. We want to translate the statement into symbols. Remember, when you're first, right off the bat, translating into symbols, you're using P's and Q's first. Then you can move on to R's and S's and T's if you have to. So we always start with P and Q. Then we want to write a valid conclusion if there is one and the law you used. Right here, if there is one, that means that there's going to be a law. If there is no valid conclusion, that means there's not going to be a law. So we start with, if an animal is a mammal, then it has hair. So symbolically, an animal is a mammal, that's P. Then it has hair, that's Q. A whale is a mammal. A whale is an animal that is a mammal, so is a mammal. So we've just reintroduced our P again. We were just talking about an animal, a whale, that is a mammal. So that's P. Now, can we write a valid conclusion if there's a logic law? Well, we have P then Q. P, we detach the P, and then we can conclude our Q is true. Remember law of detachment? You have P then Q, P conclude Q. So we're going to write for our conclusion that instead of saying it has hair, we have to define what it is, a whale. So our conclusion is going to be that a whale has hair. Okay, so as we said before, our conclusion has to make sense. We can't just say it has hair. A whale has hair. All right, and that we just talked about, you detach the P, you detach the Q. So that's the law of detachment. Okay, and just a refresher for the next set of problems that you'll be doing on your own. That was law of detachment. What's the other law? Well, the other law is the law of syllogism. It looks like the transitive property. It says first you have your conditional P then Q. Then you're given Q again and some other statement R. So a new idea here. The Q's are eliminated and we conclude P then R. That's syllogism. So you only have to memorize 2 set of rules for detachment and syllogism. And what you're going to learn about geometry is it's a lot of rules. It's a lot of memorization. If you're not comfortable with them, if you're not studying your laws, if you're not studying your vocabulary, you're not going to succeed in this class. So it's really important that you keep up with note cards and you actually study. And for a lot of you, it's going to be hard because you don't really like to study. You like to just be taught and then hope that you just know. But you do have to study and memorize. Okay, the next problem is number 11. We have our given here. We just want to check and make sure our given is the same on the first statement. So we always put given for our first one. And we want to prove that x equals 3. Well, this is a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. They're going to give you some things on the left and they're going to give you some things on the right. Or they're not going to give you some things on the left or they're not going to give you some things on the right. So what you're going to do is from this step to this step, we know that from here to here, we used the multiplication property. So how can we apply the multiplication property using 3x plus 5 over 2? Well, if you remember, in order to undo the multiplication of, or the division of 2, because here it's just a division. 3x plus 5 divided by 2. We want to undo that division. We have to do the opposite of division, and that's multiplication. So we want to multiply both sides of this equation by 2. So 2 times 3x plus 5 over 2, the 2 over 2 are going to reduce to 1, and we're left with that 3x plus 5. And then 2 times 7 is 14. So we have 3x plus 5 in our next line equals 2 times 7, which is 14, because of the multiplication property. We just used the multiplication property. Okay, the next one, from B to C, it says 3x plus 5 equals 14, and then it's given, oh, you know what? This is a typographical error. We are going to pretend this line doesn't exist. And now we're going to go from B to D. Sorry, that's my fault. So from B to D, 3x plus 5 equals 14. How do we turn that into 3x equals 9? Well, the 3x and the 3x here stay the same. The 5 is gone from the left side of the equation, and the 14 has decreased from 9. So remember, anytime one of your values stays the same and the other one changes, it's either going to be subtraction or addition. It's not going to be multiplication or division. So what happened here? 3x stayed the same, but the 14 decreased, so we know we're using the subtraction property. And what did it decrease by? Well, using our algebraic properties to solve an algebraic equation, we would subtract 5 from both sides of our equation. 14 minus 5 is 9. All right, and then the last step, how do we get from D to E? Well, it tells us we're going to use the division property. So just act as if though you are solving this equation. Your next step using division would be to divide both sides by 3. And you're left with 3 divided by 3, which is 1x, equals 9 divided by 3, which is 3. And of course, go back up to the top and make sure that what you were asked to prove is what you actually proved. That's how you check yourself. Okay, that's going to do it for this this test review. So my suggestion is to finish up the rest of this worksheet. Don't use your notes, because you're not going to be allowed to use your notes on the test. And then take your exit quiz. Come, after you finish this worksheet, come get it checked by me. But take your exit quiz, and once again, try not to use your notes, because on the test you're not going to be able to use your notes. Then when you finish your exit quiz, come find me and I will give you your test, and good luck.